may not give you all the grip in the world, but it'll give you all the life that you need. Oh, there's a little bit of off time going there. 5 lights are on. And it's game on in China, and it's a good start so far from the Williams, but it's an even better start for the McLarens. There's going to be 3 abreast into the first corner. What is going to happen here? Fairley goes round to the inside, the runner Mark, and then the Alpine goes to the wide of the McLaren of Millsy. So Millsy's lost out in the start. Runner Mark holds on to the lead. John B held up into 3rd position ahead of the McLaren. Ripley is up into P6, and 1010 has fallen down, unfortunately, into P6. Jake Sharrock has fallen down to the bottom behind, so unfortunately it doesn't do him any favours in terms of the grid penalty. But it's game on between the top 3 for sure, as all the runners now pretty much nose to tail, as the Ferrari of Deflated Wee wibbles around all the way at the back of the Haas, see if he can find a position there. And Ripley, unfortunately, I think has spun in the Aston Martin. Yes, he has. He's dropped all the way back to 17th place. Now is Jake Sharrock coming across the field now, who'll be up into 16th place. We still focus on the leaders for now. Fairley's exit wasn't particularly strong, so that shifts the pendulum all the way back, and the Alpine's got overtake on. He actually takes the inside, coming up to the hairpin. He should surely have the move done, and I think he has got the move done. So John B making a decisive move up into P2 ahead of AMS Fairley and the McLaren. And let's see what's going on behind. Ryan versus 1010. 1010 down to the inside, and he's made the move work, and that's him back up to 5th position. Wasn't the best start for the Alfa Romeo, but that was a very clean and brilliant move there to overtake the Haas. What is happening up front? John B versus runner Mark. John B, where we're used to seeing him at the front, but the one under pressure on the soft tyre. If he's got to make the move stick, he's got to do it now. But that's and that actually gives Fairley a sniff of an opportunity. It could be potentially 2, 3, 4 abreast coming out of the back of this corner. Look how close it is between 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. We'll just go to another shot. And there we have it. The Alpine's got DRS on the Williams, but both McLarens have got DRS in the Alpine. And John B goes to the inside. It takes the lead. It could be so close between these cars, and is... Oh, that is very, very close. It looks like the Alpine is going to have the inside line and the traction to make the move fully stick, and he does so. And Fairley actually comes into the pits, so I think he may have damage, as what is happening with John B. It looks like he's giving up the position. I don't think that was... Actually, no, I don't think he was giving up the position. He was actually just trying to fight that one, as Millsy follows through and goes up into 3rd. And unfortunately, AMS Fairley, having had such bad luck, does go on board with him to see his pit stop. He puts on a set of mediums, drops all the way to the back. As you see, Millsy versus John B coming down into turn 4. Now onto the long left and right-handers. Watch out for out back. The Ferrari of Deflated Wee, and oh, Runnemuck spins! Runnemuck spins, and he's made contact, I think, with Millsy. Millsy has got damage. That plays very much well into John B's hands, and was there a little bit of contact as well there between the two? And that is in the space of about 2 laps, the McLaren's race goes from brilliant to absolutely compromised. And was that 1010 having a moment there? The two Alfa Romeos fighting each other. And oh, unfortunately that is so close between these two cars, as the Ferrari of now Deflated Wee gets onto the back of John B. The soft runners now, and Ferrari takes the lead, and Millsy is going to have to come in to replace his front wing. And can the Ferrari make it work? He looks like he's edged out John B. So Ferrari goes into the lead for this Chinese Grand Prix. Ripley is retired from the session, and given how close John B is right next to him, this should be a fairly simple DRS overtake. He's making him go around to the outside. Can he hang it out with a long right-hander? No, he's ahead of him before he's even turned into the corner. So brilliant stuff there from John B, who retakes the lead of this Grand Prix. And looks like Hyper has got, that's our first penalty of the session. Hyper has got a time penalty for one of the corners, and they're still going at it, these two. Plenty has happened indeed, Demon Jonesy, because the two McLarens unfortunately made contact and have dropped to the back. Fairly up into P14, and Millsy has to put on the hard tyres to get on, is now in P16. Jake Sharrock up into 9th. Wig hands, he's got overtake activated. What's he going to do? Is he going to go around to the inside or to the outside? No, he goes to the outside. And Deflated Wee holds onto the position, but he switches back the Haas and makes a lovely opportunistic dive down the inside of the right-hander. But all that time fighting each other is going to buy the Alpine the precious time that he needs. From there, it looks like John B is just edging out more and more the gap that he needs to stay in front. 6/10 is the gap between himself and Deflated Wee, and he knows immediately that he's got to deploy overtake there just to make sure his position is covered. The Ferrari will reel him in here, but it's not enough to stay there. It's not enough to make the overtake work there. So as long as he gets a nice exit and a nice final corner here, as actually the two soft runners come into the pits, the Ferrari and the Alpine into the pits right together. So which one of these two is going to come out in front of each other? It's a very close pit lane, so I wonder where the Alpine's going to have to stop to some degree. Yeah, he'll have more damaged tyres, but whatever. Oh, and Wiggles spins in front, and that makes life much easier for Run Amok and the Williams. So Wiggles on the hards, unfortunately, just lost the back end somewhat. Hyper goes up into 7th position. He's actually gained quite a bit of time. And is he going? Oh, he cuts back. He sells him a dummy. John B sells him a dummy and goes to make a very decisive overtake there. So this is a brilliant return to form, I have to say, for the Alpine driver. The championship leader, currently 63 points ahead of Millsy. And what has happened to Fairley? Fairley has spun. That is unfortunate for the McLaren, who is just having rather a nightmare of a race, it has to be said. Safety car. I think the chances of him scoring points are quite remote. We'll go back to the interval times to see how everyone's doing there. And Deflated Wee has got 2/10 between himself and the Haas. With DRS, this should be a fairly easy overtake. And it is. The Ferrari overtakes the Haas fairly quickly. As Platty now, it looks like he's lost the lead. Yes, crucially, IIRacingLeague has taken the lead, which means that Platty, I imagine his tyres will be starting to burn out now. That comes back into IIRacingLeague's hands. He won't pull away, but it will certainly be a decisive move for the Alfa Romeo in terms of no way those mediums will go through to the end of the race. Especially if the soft tyres were only capable of doing 6. Jake Sharrock retires from the session. Yes, it looks like he's gone slow, and that's another retiree. So he had the grid penalty, he had a few penalties rather other than that, and unfortunately make him absolutely deadly come near the end of the race. There's his best chance of a win though, as IIRacingLeague comes into the pits and he puts on the mediums, which is quite the sensible strategy. 12 laps on the mediums is certainly not impossible, but it will take a lot out. He's just got to be careful with how he drives. But gets DRS on the McLaren. This should be quite a quick, on the Mercedes rather, this should be quite a quick overtake. Can Platty follow his way through? We've got to stay on the back cam, as wasn't the best exit from APS Greg, who's going to have the Haas around the outside. The Haas switches back and he should have a much better drive. We're going to go on board with Platty, and yeah, look at that, he's done him way before the corner. DRS activated, and there are no more cars in between IIRacingLeague and Padge. And the safety car, crucially, has been deployed after Padge has retired. 12 people running, and that puts it that is a gift to FRA John B. That is a gift, because you don't lose as much time behind a safety car. You're around the 12-13 second gap, which really limits He goes on to the softs, just as I suspected. IIRacingLeague looks like he's going to come on and do the same thing. As Platty is also in, Greg is in, Millsy is in, and Eki AMG is also in. Deflated Wee, what is he going to do? He's going to stay out. Let's see if he can make up a place or two by doing so. He may actually find himself potentially in second or third place. The Alfa Romeo is still ahead. No, he's not. He's not ahead. Crucially, Deflated Wee is the car between himself and John B. That could be all that the Alpine needs to overtake. He has that 3-second penalty, mind you. So that's set the stage for the end of this race here, guys. Enough to get him through, and it looks like he's just dropped it there, and that is a hell of a restart he's got on the Alfa Romeo. He's got the Ferrari obviously between them, but that's not going to help him at all. And IIRacingLeague is actually losing out, I think, maybe to the Haas. Is the Haas going to go through on the outside? Maybe, and that's not going to do IIRacingLeague's chances of winning any favours at all. And the Haas is still finding him alongside. It's 1.5 seconds already as Ryan spins the Haas at the back here as 10-10 as well. I believe both of them have damage, but IIRacingLeague 5/10 behind Deflated Wee. He's got to clear him as soon as he can, because at the moment FRA John B is going to be running away with this. Seconds between these two cars. He has got to make the move stick now. He's a 10th behind. He should be able to make this one work, and I believe that's what he's doing. Overtake all the way down the back of the straight. John B is there in front of him. He has got to stay within 3 seconds to make this work. It's 1.5 seconds between the two. That was not the restart that the Alfa would have liked, but he's just got to stay obviously within there. As John B sets the fastest lap, it's 1.7 seconds the gap between the top two. Deflated Wee is now up against the Haas of Platty. 10-10 is earned himself his 3-second penalty. The Ferrari loses out to the Haas around the outside, and their tyres nearly brush. And Platty's also got a penalty as well, so he has got to get a move on himself. But that's immediately a nice buffer for the Alpine of John B. IIRacingLeague is 1.7 behind. He's got to drive out of his skin, because we know how fast the Alpine is straight up. Be so close between the leaders as to what they do. Now we're going to see Millsy make an overtake on the Ferrari. He'll have DRS open, so that will cover off the overtake for him. Now he's got to stay within 3 seconds of the Haas in front to ensure that he gets a podium. The Haas isn't making many inroads into the Alfa, but the Alfa isn't actually making that many inroads into the Alpine in front. It's 1.9 seconds the gap with 3 to go. 0.5. Can John B pull out another 5/10 over the Alfa Romeo to ensure that he wins this Grand Prix? It's going to be a very close finish no matter what happens. Who will be the first one to crack under pressure? Will any of them crack? Who knows what's going to happen? It's 2.6 now the gap. 2.5 now the gap. As it's coming out to almost now 2.6. It's so close looking at this. Millsy takes P3 away from Platty, and it looks like the Ferrari Deflated Wee is going to get 4th. He'll be a 5th and 6th for the Mercedes as long as he stays. We're saying it's 2.3 now between them, unless there's a crucial mistake being made by IIRacingLeague at the end of the lap. It looks like the Alpha's going to do it where it counts, which is where the time penalties and everything apply. It's 2.5. This is the section though where he really loses out. But no, it looks like he's done enough here. It's a couple more corners to go for IIRacingLeague, and it looks like the Alpha's going to do it. Millsy though has fought back brilliantly, given that he had damage to finish on the podium. But this man has done everything he can with everything that was thrown at him. After a harsh couple of races, he's having to change in between the wheel and the pad. He's going to come through to take the checkered flag, but it's not going to be the win this time for FRA John B. He takes the checkered flag, but IIRacingLeague, on countback with the penalties, wins the Chinese Grand Prix with Millsy taking P3 in the McLaren with Deflated Wee P4. Both Mercedes get P5 and P6, and Platty drops down to P7 with thanks to his penalty. Mr. Wiggles takes 8th place with Ryan coming across the line just there to take 9th, and P10 for Sammy Style in the other Alpine. Crucial race in the championship. So while John B only gains 3 points on Millsy, he couldn't quite do it thanks to his penalty. And there we have a brilliant drive from IIRacingLeague to win the race on countback with penalties. So let's round off the top 10, the point scoring positions. We have IIRacingLeague winning the race from 10th position in the Alfa Romeo. John B takes 2nd from 5th. Millsy recovers from damage to finish P3. Deflated Wee finishes in P4. The Mercedes from outside the top 10 secure P5 and P6. P7 is Platty in the Haas after his penalty. Wiggles is in P8. Ryans goes into P9 with the Haas. And Sammy Style rounds out the top 10.